Hey guys, what up, what up, what up? I'm just kidding. I don't know why I'm doing that. Alright, so I'm getting into a tutorial, and this one is going to be on Python, but I'm going to do something a little bit different. Basically, just for like shits and gigs, just kind of show you like, okay, how am I going to approach a simple problem? And this is something that I have not scripted at all whatsoever, so it's probably going to be very off the cuff here. But what I'm going to do is just say, we'll call this like jobs finder. That's the folder I'm going to put inside my projects folder. So I'm going to open this folder in Visual Studio Code. I do have Python installed on this joint, so I should be able to create Python apps and stuff like that. So what I want to do though is I want to install Selenium for Python. So what I'm going to do is open up a file explorer to the location that I have, jobs finder CMD, and that's going to, CMD by the way is a little shortcut in Windows that you can open up your command prompt, open up your command prompt to that file location. So you can see in here we have nothing in here. What I'm going to do is pip, do I even have pip installed? Yeah, so obviously you need to have Python installed because otherwise you're not going to have pip. So download and install Python if you've never done that before. I have videos, guys, Python for absolute beginners. I'm not going to sit here and try to plug my shit over and over again, but I will tell you these videos are out here, man. You get started on this one. Make sure when you follow this series, though, if you're trying to get up to date on Python, that you click the box to add Python to your path, because otherwise you're not going to be able to find it. When you type Python, it's not going to know what the fuck you're talking about on Windows unless you click that little box. So there's going to be an install process. You're going to want to follow that. All right, so there's that. Okay, so let's go ahead and pip install Selenium. All right, so this is going to download across the web. It's going to install Selenium, so now we can use it. So if I run Python, I should be able to say import Selenium. All right, good. So if you can do that and there's no error messages, then you're good. So we can press Control Z and Enter, I think, gets out of there. All right, so now we have that running. Let me go ahead and see from within Visual Studio Code. If we go ahead and create a test.py file, and I'm just going to print your mom is hot. Sorry to anybody that might like not talking about your mom, especially if your mom passed away and all that. Like that would be terrible. All right, so if I go over here to the little debugger within Visual Studio Code. Also, you guys can get set up on Visual Studio Code. I think I have a video, Python, Chris Hawks. I think I have a video on that. That's Visual Studio. Don't get that confused. But anyway, go to Visual Studio Code. If I could type, whatever, it knows what you're talking about. If you download this and you download the Python by Don Jamain plugin, install that extension, and you'll be good to go, and you'll be ready where I am here. Once again, I have videos on all this stuff, so make sure if you guys are just like picking up and you're like, oh, I've never done anything in Python, what the fuck am I doing? Go to that series and watch that, and you'll be good. All right, so now that we have this test.py, I want to actually get the debugger working. So I'm going to say, you know what, add configuration. I'm going to look for Python. All right, and then something tells me this isn't going to work and it's going to make me mad, but we're going to try it anyway. So now I have that I'm just I can close that file, and now I should be able to press the play button. If everything goes well, this thing's going to break on the first line, which is really annoying. But if I click play, you're going to see to the debug console, or the output, well really it's just the debug console, you're going to see your mom is hot. That printed it out. That's your Python program running. So if we don't want that stopping on the first line, what I can do is go over to the files by clicking this little document thing. It shows you all your files in here. VS Code creates this VS Code folder, and then there's a launch.json, which is JavaScript stuff, but don't worry about that. But in here, there's going to be something like stop on entry. We want that to be false. So do we have more than one of those in here? I'm going to do that on all of these. Control F is for find, by the way. So that brings up your, you can just double click this, and then Control C, Control F, and it should automatically put that in there, and you enter it, and you can see false. All right, so there's a bunch of these in here. So What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy this entire thing. And if I do this and I say true, which is what it was before, this is probably really confusing for you guys, but if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. But there's this find and replace all, which is really cool functionality, and you should probably learn some of these tools to your advantage. But you can see this stop on entry true. I can say, hey, find all occurrences of this and replace it with this bottom part. So I'm going to say false. And then I can just go over here where it says, not this one, but this one where it has like multiple. It says replace all. Boom, and I did that. And it replaced every one of those stop entry true. So if you're ever finding yourself having to edit, a lot of shit manually and stuff like that, then it probably means you're going about it wrong. Unfortunately, these little tricks and stuff, they just come about like if you're doing this all the time. Most likely you're going to go through and just change every one of those trues to a false, and you'll be good to go. Anyway, by doing that though, and we go back here, if we click our little debugger and click play, you can see it's not stopping on the first line or anything like that, so we can just run our program. Alright, the next thing we want to do is go to this website right here, which is Chromium, and we want to download the Chrome driver, the latest version 2.30, because let's go ahead and, since I'm on Windows, I'm going to grab the 32-bit